We're getting close to the NHL season starting. The excitement is building up. We're going to be watching hockey soon. And soon I'll probably be seeing how bad my predictions are that I make in this video. But we're going to go through it anyway. I'm going to be predicting the NHL regular season standings. I'm going to go through the awards and tell you who I think will win each NHL award at the end of the season. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be going through a playoff bracket and already telling you who I think will win the Stanley Cup. So, yeah, it's early, September 20th, but we're going to do it anyway. And we'll see how those predictions stack up when we get there. But, yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes. I don't think my predictions are going to be quite as wild. Like, I made my predictions already, and I'm going to go through it and show you on this PowerPoint, but, like, I don't feel like I've predicted things as wild as I did in the past, but there's still a few wild choices here, so we're going to go through it. I've organized this by division, and even though I have, we're still going 32-1, so you'll see them pop up in their own divisions, but you'll also see them pop up with a number of where I think they'll place out of 32 teams from the worst, the first overall draft pick lottery spot, I guess, to the President's Trophy. So here we go with number 32. Who do you think is last? Probably you think who I think, but we'll see. I don't know. You might have your own thoughts. I still have San Jose there. I still think they're going to be last. Do I think they're going to improve? Yeah, I guess, but I mean, not to the point where they're, above other teams in the standings at the end of the season. I don't know. Columbus, 31st, they could be last. But I don't know. I feel like they're not going to be last. I don't want them to be last. Honestly, I'd love to see them do amazing this season. But it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So we'll see how Columbus does. Number 30, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. And, I don't know. They've brought in some guys. But, I don't know, you look at the rest of the teams, and do they stack up well against them? Not really. I think this is just another season where you're just excited to see some more Bedard hockey and see how he does and how many points he gets and how he plays, all that sort of stuff. 29th, I've got Calgary, and, yeah, they look like they're kind of going to plummet a bit. They might even be lower than this. I put them at 29th because, I know, they got a few guys on there that might still, keep them. I don't even know if competitive is the right word, but ahead of some other teams here at least. But again, like, what are we going to see from Huberdeau? I mean, that's the main guy you think of at least now in Calgary, but it's just like, it's so tough. I loved Huberdeau, and I don't know, when that trade happened again, like, I actually thought we lost the trade. Like, we gave up Weegar, we gave up Huberdeau for Matthew Tkachuk, and, Tkachuk and Huberdeau 1-for-1 was good, but I don't know, it looks great now. I like the trade now, but I feel bad for my boy Huberdeau over there in Calgary, just struggling the last 2 seasons, and we'll see if he can bring some of his game back and improve, but I don't know. It doesn't look good for Calgary. I think they're going to be looking to get a nice early draft pick, and that'll be what they're looking forward to. 28th, I've got Anaheim. I just feel like they're going to be lower down again. 27th. So 27th, I mean, this is a team that people are, I think, optimistic on, but more so, I think, last year. I think this year, there's a little less optimism. Could they push for a playoff spot and enter into the playoffs? Yes, they could. Especially with, Allmark coming in. We'll see how that goes. But I still have Ottawa 27th. I just don't see them doing that well. Again, there's some optimism that you could take into the season, and I'd love to see them do well. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't know. I just don't see much for Ottawa there. 26, I have Philly, and another team I want to see do well. But I look at their roster, and I'm like, ooh, how well can they do? I mean, Torts he pushed them to the limit last year, and they didn't miss by that much. But I don't know. It's just, it feels like, looking at the other teams around and looking at the rosters there, it's just like, ooh, it's tough to put Philly higher. but we'll see what Torts can get out of them this year. 25, I have Utah, and I feel like there are some people that are really high on Utah. I've seen someone place them in the playoffs. I don't know. Like, their forward group doesn't look bad. Sergachev, great addition. I'm just not too convinced about the rest of the team yet. And I don't know. I think 25 is probably a good spot for them. 24th, I've got Montreal. And 23rd, I have the Islanders. And, I don't know. The Islanders are an interesting one. Montreal, maybe I have them a bit higher than other people. And New York Islanders, maybe I have them a bit low. Islanders, they potentially have the best goalie tandem in the whole league. We'll see how they do. Because I say potentially, like Sorokin, again, down year last year. But, which, to be honest, it was more like a mediocre year. It's just for Sorokin standards, it was such a lower down year that they went to Varlamov. But again, they have Sorokin, they have Varlamov. The potential is there for them to be great. I don't know. I have them at 23rd, and will the rest of the team be good in front of them as well is another question. And I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But I don't know. Looking at the other teams, I do have them at 23 here. 22, this one might get me in hot water. This is kind of an interesting one. I have Detroit at 22 after their heroic end to the regular season last year that just didn't work out for them. I don't know. I don't know if Detroit will go in an upward direction or a downward direction, and I ended up going with a downward direction in my predictions here. And 21st, I have Pittsburgh, another team that doesn't look like they'll probably make the playoffs. They seem like a safer choice to miss, but again, they could, right? Crosby, Malkin, their team can be good, but I don't know. And there's some guys in their depth that, I don't know, like, you look very low down. I don't know. I guess I saw Puljujarvi in there and Beauvillier, and I don't know, like, they're probably just going to not be great. Or I guess they're not going to, I don't know. I'd be surprised if Puljujarvi played a lot, but they're also guys that maybe they could have some impact, but I don't know. I don't see it much, and I don't know. It's interesting with Pittsburgh anyway. Number 20, I have Minnesota. I'd love Minnesota to do well. A lot better than this. But again, this is just looking at the other teams, and I'm like, I feel like Minnesota is going to be outside the playoffs. Yeah. Another team that seems to be going in a backward direction a little bit. And I don't know, maybe I'm putting them too low, but I have the Kings outside the playoffs, and that might be interesting. That might be, there's a few wild choices that you haven't seen yet that you're probably like, what are they doing inside the playoffs? But I put LA outside of it. I just feel like they're kind of going in a bit of a wrong direction, and I don't know. It's tough, right? It's tough. 18th, I've got St. Louis. St. Louis is a team I didn't really know what to do with. Could they be great? Yeah. Could they be terrible? Yeah. I kind of put them sort of in the middle, close to the middle, but again, St. Louis I put outside the playoffs. Our first playoff team, and playoff teams will be shown in, they'll have yellow text here, as you'll see. The first playoff team we have is the Winnipeg Jets. I was kind of debating between them and the Blues and the Kings, but I feel like the Jets with Hellebuck, especially regular season Hellebuck, I just thought, can I really put them outside the playoffs? I felt like no was the answer to that, so I have them here. 16th, I have the Washington Capitals, and adding Chychrun and Thompson look like moves that will potentially put them into the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how Dubois does as well. Same with Ovi. I don't have great expectations with Ovi, but again, who knows? It's Ovi, right? At the same time, though, they're in 16th, but I felt like they're just not quite the same level as another team I have in there. Although there's another team I have in there that's just wild. And so, and it's not the Wild. I say Wild a lot. It's not the Wild. You can see the Wild. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Washington, they could be better. Last year, they just barely made it in and they got wiped. So yeah, but they look like they've improved. But I don't know. Again, if it's quite enough for them to make the playoffs. Although, would I be surprised if they made it? No, not at all. 15, I have a team that, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I just feel like Seattle's not that bad, and I feel like they'll make the playoffs again. Like, we saw them make the playoffs a couple of years ago. We saw them take out Colorado. Last year was a bit of a down year from that, although a lot of people were expecting that. I don't know. I was high on Seattle last year. Maybe I'm too high on Seattle again, but I have them making the playoffs. And yeah. All right, so 14th, I have Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay's just got... I feel like they just have two... Still, even losing Stamkos, I just feel like their roster, their star power is just so great that I just don't know if I can take them out of the playoffs, right? Like, I don't know. Tampa... And if they're good, they can be even higher than that. But I don't know. I just couldn't leave Tampa outside the playoffs. And now at number 13 is a team that's like... such a wild card of a team, and I'm really not sure where to go with them. But I did put them in 13th, and I don't know. This might maybe more my this is my probably most wild choice, I would say. But I don't know. I think this is the year. Buffalo. I said that so many times before. But man, their lineup looks like one that could like drop off and be really bad, or at maximum capacity could also be great and even maybe higher up. Like, I don't know. I'm really just not sure what to do to them, but I am, again, leaning toward them doing well. And so I have them here at 13th. So, yeah, Buffalo, playoff team. We'll see how that goes. Number 12, I've got my Vancouver Canucks. We'll see what happens with Demko. I'm optimistic with the Canucks, but I'm not optimistic maybe for the start of the season, as in... I don't think we'll get the same like victory bump as we did last year. You know, last year we started off the season so strong and so great, and that really helped us when it came to the later part of the season. Not that we played bad in the later part, but we just, I guess I don't know. We definitely weren't as strong and world beating as we were in the first half. So that's kind of why I have Vancouver at third in the Pacific. I think that. Both Vegas and Edmonton are better in the regular season, at least, and that they'll do better because, again, for Vancouver to hold their own like they did last year, I don't know. I mean, I think they can, but I don't think they'll get that same head start, and so I think it'll be more just like the second half of the season over two halves, and enough to get them in third here. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And again, the Demko question mark. I mean, he should be back at some point this season, but yeah, the start of the season just, I don't know, it kind of looks like it won't be quite like last year. In 11th, I've got the Nashville Predators. They look pretty good. You know, they made some additions with Marchessault and Stamkos, of course. Those are the big ones, but they were solid last year. They when they play, they can play very well. They gave Vancouver a very well-fought series as well, and I just think Nashville looks really good. Saros is such a good goalie, and yeah, if he can be on his best, like, who knows what can happen. But yeah, I like Nashville. I think I would be very surprised if Nashville did not make the playoffs. I'd be very, very surprised if they didn't. They really should make the playoffs. In 10th, I have VGK, Vegas Golden Knights. They're not they're not a bad team, right? Like, I think this season maybe they're being a little bit underestimated by some. What I've seen so far, and underestimated, I mean, I guess third in the Pacific, but I don't know. I think they're good. I think they'll end up in second there, and I don't know. Yeah, they're a good team, right? In 9th, I have maybe another team that's maybe a bit of a wild choice, but again, this is the reason that I would say this is not like a power rankings. This is just what I think the standings will be, and that's the New York Rangers in 9th. I think the Rangers will be very good, but I think the regular season, they might not be quite what they were last year when they were like going all out, winning that President's Trophy. I think it's probably a good thing too if they dial it back a little bit, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just, it's not necessarily that the President's Trophy is like this curse, because I mean, you hear that right, and the last time someone won with the President's Trophy was when there weren't as many games, and so, but that's actually part of the point, is like there weren't as many games, you know? If you're giving it all out in the regular season, are you wearing yourself out a little bit too much for the postseason? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that is a good thing to say or not, but anyway, I have the Rangers here, and usually when we see teams dial it back a little bit, like Tampa dialed it back a bit, they go and win the Stanley Cup, and yeah, Florida's not quite the same as that, but last year they kind of it was interesting. You know, they win the President's Trophy, and then, you know, not that long after, I think it was the next year, right? They go on the Cup run and lose in the finals, and then this year they win again. But I don't know. It just seems like when you take a step back in the standings is when you do well. And maybe I'm giving away some stuff for my choices later in the postseason, but I don't know. I got Rangers at 9th here. In 8th, I've got the New Jersey Devils. Pesci, that addition really gets me. Adding to a pretty good top 6 already. Markstrom obviously seems like he addresses the goaltending issue they had. I really think New Jersey is going to do well. They're a team that I think we were surprised to see outside the playoffs last year, and I would be surprised if we saw them stay outside the playoffs. I think they have a really good team, and I think they're going to step up and do pretty well. 7, I have Boston. Boston still looks like a really good, solid team. I know they lost a lot when they lost Bergeron, but yeah, I don't know. Boston still looks really good. And they lost Ullmark too, and they still look like they're going to be really good. I guess we'll see what happens with Swayman, but I don't know. I guess what's the worst case scenario, that he holds out for the whole year? I don't know. Like, we'll see what happens with Swayman. There could be news on it tomorrow. We'll see, but yeah, I think he'll probably start the season with the Bruins. I would be surprised if he didn't. And again, what a great goalie he is. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Boston's a great team. They should be 7th. They should be 7th. They should be in that kind of upper list, you know, top 10 team, I would say. In 6th, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of top-end talent, of course. I think Wall and Stolarz is a really good tandem. Even the defense looks pretty good. Like, I think this team will be a great regular season team. I worry about them in the playoffs, as always, though I think they've still improved. So we'll see how Toronto does. I think they're going to do pretty well, though. Pretty well, but yeah. At 5, I have our division winner, or whatever, division leader, Carolina Hurricanes. Again, they look really good. Pesci, again, was a big loss, but their top 6 still looks really solid. I don't think they really have much to struggle with in the regular season. We'll see. But Carolina, they look pretty strong still, and I think they will be. At number 4, I have the Dallas Stars. Usually I underestimate the Dallas Stars, and maybe I still am. Maybe they're going to win again. I feel that's the story with me, underestimate the Dallas Stars, until I picked them to win in, what was it, 2 years ago, to win the Stanley Cup. Anyway, I wish they had, because I think that was the year Vegas won. But anyway, yeah, Dallas Stars. Have them in 4th. They have a really solid, deep team. Looks so good. And yeah, I think, again, they should be a top 5 team. They should, but we'll see. Number 3, I think, is the most stacked team. So again, this is going off the basis of, this is not a power rankings, because the power rankings, this would be number 1. I think Florida is like pretty much the most stacked team all around. They're just so solid. Maybe you could say that with Dallas, but I mean, we just saw it happen with Florida in the finals, and you know, they lost Montour. You know, they've had some losses, but they still look so good. Like, they just look so stacked. And I'm very happy about that as someone who likes the Panthers. So, yeah, I'm good with that. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if something happened to the Panthers where they, like, missed the playoffs or even were outside the top 10. Like, they should be pretty high up, but I'm not calling for a President's Trophy from them. So, the next one will show you who wins this President's Trophy, if you remember who's missing. But yeah, number 2, I've got the Colorado Avalanche, who are just so solid. So much of this team looks so solid. Goaltending would be the question mark, But at least for the regular season, Georgiev, he should hold his own. Like, I don't know, Colorado looks so good. You know, you look at their defense and it's just like, wow, yeah, they have all those guys. Like, yeah, I don't know. Looking at Colorado, it was just like, yeah, this team is probably going to do pretty good. But again, we see them so often like fluctuate during the season, and like they're doing really good and then they're doing really not good, and then they're lower down, and it's like, what are they doing? And then they get to the playoffs and you think, oh, they're gonna go for a conference finals run, and then they lose to anyway. Anyway, yeah. They just look so good. It's just hard to go against them. Number one, though, I have Edmonton. We know what this team can do. When they're off, they can be one of the worst teams in the whole league. But when they're on, they can be like the best, except for, I guess, Florida, right? But for this season, they're my President's Trophy pick. I mean, you name it. They got McDavid, obviously. They got Draisaitl. They got so many good players, Bouchard and Ekholm, and it looks good. I mean, obviously, we'll see what the goaltending does. But again, when they're off, they're very off. But when they're on, like we saw what they did last year, and I think without that huge losing streak that we saw from them last year, they would have been tops. They would have been challenging the Rangers for the Presidents, I think, and so this year I have them as a President's Trophy winner. I think they're gonna be pretty good. So yeah, those are my choices, and that is my standings for. Let me know what you think of this for the regular season. And with that, we'll move on to our awards. Who's going to win what award? Well, the Hart Trophy, I'm going the easy choice. I'm going Connor McDavid. Art Ross, I don't think McDavid's going to be quite as off as he was last year, where he still put up an amazing amount of points. I think he's going to get the Art Ross as well. Rocket Richard, I'm going to also go with McDavid there. I'm just going to say he wins all three. It's hard to go against him. The Richard would be probably the one where you could pick someone else more easily, but I'm still going with him. The Vezina was an interesting one. I'm going to go with Swayman for that. I think Swayman looks really good, and yeah, I'll go with Swayman. It's a little bit of an off-the-board choice. No, not really off the board, but like maybe not the top three choices, but I still think Swayman looks really good or looked really good last year, and man, especially in the playoffs, he was so good. And I'm not a Bruins fan at all, but I kind of want to see him do well still. Norris, again, kind of a not that surprising choice. I've got Cale Makar. The Selke, a very not surprising choice. I got Bargy again. And the Calder, I think he's kind of the favorite for the Calder. I've got Michkov, so I agree with a lot of people, I guess. So Swayman would kind of be my choice. That's maybe not as common as others, but yeah, those are my choices for the awards. And let's get to the playoffs. This is what it looks like. These are the matchups, and again, I wish we did 1v8. Like and yeah, 2v7 and 3v6, 5v4. I wish we did that kind of structure to the playoffs, but yeah, because I mean, you look at all these matchups and you're like, oh, some of these look very familiar, especially on the east side, like New Jersey, New York, and Boston, Toronto again. Florida, Tampa, I don't know if you can get tired of the Battle of Florida, but Toronto, Boston again. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, on the other side, Edmonton, Winnipeg looks like it would be a great series. The Prairie Province battle. Or I guess that's not really the Prairie Province. I guess Manitoba is a little bit... I don't know. Do you call it a Prairie Province? It kind of is. But it's very lakey as well. I don't know. But anyway, that'd be a good matchup. And so you got some good matchups here. Oilers, I would say, would take this series. And in the next series, I picked Vancouver. Woo! The next one, I went with Colorado. I don't think they were going to lose to Seattle again. Dallas, Nashville, I went with Dallas. So that's all four. Oh, no, it's not all four. Canucks and the third seed were the underdog win. But, yeah, not too surprising of that. I think Vancouver could take Vegas. They would have to be doing pretty well, but yeah. Florida, Tampa, I'd go Florida. Boston, Toronto, sorry, Toronto again. Boston. Carolina, Buffalo, went Carolina. New Jersey, New York. I went New York this time. I think I might have spoiled that I think New York is going to be good this season in the playoffs. I feel like it's got to be their time at some point, at least to get to the finals again. Like, they've been so good in recent years, but yeah, except against the Devils. But yeah, let's see here. Oilers, Canucks. Who did I choose for that? I chose Canucks, of course. Maybe I'm biased, but I feel like we're gonna get that revenge. We were so close last year, and I think our team is better than last year. And so I don't know. Even with that, it would be great if we had Demko. Like, we were doing that with Sheloves, and Sheloves was amazing, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes with Vancouver. I guess there's so much riding on this Demko stuff, and I really wanted to obviously stay healthy, and obviously I want all this stuff, and I'm just hoping that things go well for the Canucks. But yeah, to think of the Canucks as a contender again, like, I don't know if you quite put them in the contender category, but you put them, as a strong, like, playoff lock team. Because I'd be shocked if the Canucks didn't make the playoffs. They should. They're in the Pacific Division, but I think they can do some stuff in the playoffs. Last time they were there, they did some stuff. They got to round 2. The time before that, they got to round 2. The time before that, they didn't. But anyway, the last couple times since 2020, they've been a pretty good playoff team. But yeah, we'll see anyway. Colorado, Dallas. I picked Dallas. And Florida, Boston. I picked Florida again. New York and Carolina. I picked New York. And so there we go. There's the final 4. Who do I think is making the finals? Well, I picked Dallas from the West and New York from the East. And our Stanley Cup champion, I picked Dallas. I feel like Dallas should, like, they're so deep. They look like they could do kind of what Florida did this past playoffs, because of their depth. I really feel like Dallas looks really good. If they won, though, I'd be very sad in one way. I'd be happy for Dallas. I don't mind Dallas at all. But I'd be sad in that this is when Pavelski misses out because he retired. Let's say this happens. This is my prediction, but my other prediction, more like a wish list, I guess, is that Pavelski comes out of retirement and comes back to Dallas and they win the Stanley Cup. That would be amazing. That'd be the dream, right? The dream. So, oh man, it's sad that he retired and didn't have a cup. It stings. There's obviously a lot of players that you see, and they're like such class acts, or they're such good players, and they don't win. But that's a challenge, and that's what makes winning the Stanley Cup so much sweeter when it is won. So, yeah. All right, one more award, the Conn Smythe Trophy. I picked Roope Hintz. There you go. There's my predictions. There's my standings. There's all that. So, yeah, tell me what you think. Tell me who your Stanley Cup choice is. Tell me who your President's Trophy choice is. Maybe even, if you want to, give me a list of those awards, and tell me who you think will win the awards and stuff like that. Who will get the dead last in the league? Do we agree that it'll be San Jose, or would you put another team in there like Chicago, Columbus, Calgary? I don't know. We'll see. Let me know, though. And yeah, take care.